Hey everyone, how's it going there? I'm going to be doing another deck profile today, and today I'm going to be bringing my Spellbook Mythical Beasts. And I've just been tinkering around with them a little bit lately and trying to find the build that I enjoy the most. And pretty much this is what I've settled on. I might make a few changes in the future, but for now this is how I'll be rocking it. So let's get right into this. So onto the main deck, we run our 3 Mythical Beast. Master Cerberus. This kind of guy is he's like our searcher. They all have scale effects where if you control no other cards in your pendulum zone, you can destroy whichever mythical beast card that you have in the pendulum zone. So like this guy, no cards in pendulum zone activate it, use its effect to destroy itself and search any of your mythical beasts. Level 7 or lower, so he can't search himself. And monster effect is each time a spell card is activated, you place 2 counters on him, and he cannot be destroyed by card effects while 4 or more spell counters are on your field. And once per turn, you can remove 4 spell counters from anywhere on the field and target what monster your opponent controls, banish it face up, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that banished monster's original attack until the end of your opponent's turn. This dude is nuts. So he has destruction protection, and he can also boost his attack like ridiculous amounts, and that buff stays until the end of your opponent's turn. So it's not a quick effect, unfortunately, but still really good, and it's just a good form of removal, and then you can attack for game with him. Next up we have the Jackal King, another important mythical beast. This one, the pendulum effect is you can destroy itself to special summon any of your mythical beasts from the extra deck, and that except for himself. And his monster effect is also really good, where, again, each time a spell card is activated, you place 2 counters on him, and once per turn, when an opponent activates a monster effect, this is a quick effect, you remove 2 spell counters from anywhere on the field, negate the activation, and destroy that card. So again, this guy is really good. If you can get both these guys loaded with counters on the field, you're looking real fine. And then the next card, if you got those 2 guys loaded, and you got this guy in your hand, you're laughing. What Garuda can do, its scale effect anyways, is it can destroy itself to target another spell or trap card on the field and destroy that. And the monster effect, the first part, it does gain a counter, 1 spell counter each time a spell card is activated, but the important monster effect is when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you remove 3 spell counters from your field and special summon this guy from your hand to return that summon monster to your opponent's hand. So if they special summon something from the extra deck, you just remove 3 counters, special summon this guy, bounce that thing back, and now they just wasted a bunch of materials, and now they just lost their monster. So he's really good just for a lot of things. And he comes up a lot, especially when you got your other mythical beasts on the board holding things down. Last up for the mythical beast, we just run 2 Jackal. This guy, he's just got a simple little scale effect. He destroys himself to place a spell counter on anything that can hold spell counters, and the monster effect is he gains 1 spell counter for each spell card activated, and you contribute this card and 3 spell counters from your field, and special summon 1 mythical beast effect monster from your deck. So just tutors out any of those. So he is one of our normal summons. Last for the pendulums. Actually, no, that's a lie. We got 1 more that we rock. But we run 3 astrographs, and this is just because all these scale effects are all effects that destroy themselves. So they can trigger off astrograph really well, and he just allows us to plus. So we get effect off these guys. And then we just especially with the Cerberus, we just special summon the astrograph, search out another Cerberus, then that way for the following turn we have an additional search and just an additional Cerberus to try to get on the board. So of course astrograph is just all in all really good. I was trying it with like the Stargazer and the Chronograph and Time Gazers, but it just takes up a lot of room, and it kind of takes away from what I try to build it to accomplish, which is generally build up spell counters, use a lot of spellbook cards, and just win from there. So because we do play spellbook cards, got 2 Magician of Prophecy. This is our additional normal summon, or our other normal summon, sorry, of the deck. So, you know, we just run 4 total normal summons, so that's not too bad. They usually don't conflict with each other. This guy's really important just because he can search out any of your Spellbook cards. And also, this is kind of the only one that we can tribute, or like send from the field, because these are all Pendulum spellcasters. He's the only one that can trigger off Spellbook of Knowledge. And before the hand traps, we do run 1 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. This guy is just kind of like my little tech in the deck because it is searchable off Duelist Alliance, so that's a spell card which can trigger off any of these guys. Search for their Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. You activate that in scale. That's another 2 spell counters on like your big mythical beasts. And then end phase uses effect to destroy itself, which to then search your Garuda. So that way, you've just with like Duelist Alliance and a Cerberus, you wind up getting yourself like 4 counters on him, and you know, a Garuda in hand or something. So it's well worth it. There's a lot of ways that this comes up, and basically he's just a way to search out Garuda, search out your little Jackal if you need to, and he's just another target because I wanted to run Duelist Alliance and Pendulum Paradox, but I wanted another target just in case I already had the Pendulum Paradox, so that's what this is for. So now I'll go into the hand traps, and I run 3 Ash and 3 Ghost Reaper. And the reason for this, you know, Ash hits a lot of things. It unfortunately doesn't hit Pendulum Magicians the greatest, but then we would just side these out for Ogres. But Ghost Reaper, however, definitely holds down the fort because we are running Electromite in this deck anyways. And this isn't really an extra deck reliant deck, so we just filled it with a few Cherries targets. And of course we're already running Electromite, so that's already something that we can use. And of course, you know, if we're up against a deck that we don't need, then we just side it out. But I think that just with the Cherries targets that I've chosen for my locals, this will come in handy quite often. Now on to the Spellbook side of things. Running 3 Secrets, just searches any Spellbook cards. 3 Knowledge, our draw. 2 Spellbook of the Master, can copy any Spellbook effect. 2 Fate, and this is like, you know, probably the best spell card in the deck, really. You can banish a card your opponent controls that's non-targeting, non-destructive removal. 2 Spellbook of Star Hall. This thing holds spell counters each time a Spellbook card is activated, and also gives us a little attack boost of 100 attack on any spellcaster type monsters you control for each spell counter on it. So I mean, you know, you can get at least a couple. Usually by the time you lay this guy, if you lay this guy down, you can usually get a couple depending on what you've drawn into. And anyways, that's just a good thing too, to hold counters for Garuda if you need to take them away from somewhere and you don't want to take them away from another monster. Now we got 1 Spellbook of Power and 1 Spellbook of Eternity. Power just to boost up a spellcaster and gets us a draw if we destroy something. So this is like a good way to OTK with our Master Cerberus. Once we banish something with him to buff his attack, throw this on him for an additional 1,000, and you can either destroy a monster or you just attack for game or something like that. Spellbook of Eternity, of course, to get back one of our banished Spellbook cards that we banish off of Spellbook of Fate. Now for the last of the spells, just of course our double Duelist Alliance that I was talking about, 1 Pendulum Paradox. So yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking. I didn't want to run multiples of Pendulum Paradox because I don't necessarily want to open with it, or I don't want to see multiples of it, because it is a once per turn, and it's not necessarily something that you can always activate on your opening turn. So I wanted to run a way to search it, so that way I can grab it if I needed it, or if I didn't need it, then I could search out like my Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and then that way that could search me a Garuda or my Mini Jackal if need be. So that's kind of the theory behind that. And then probably the best spell card in the deck, Upstart Goblin, just because it's something free. You can play it whenever. It gets you counters, and it gets you, and it just, you know, it's a 39 card deck now, so just unfortunately you got to give your opponent that 1,000 life points for that. But onto the extra deck. We run our 2 Electromite, 1 Akashic, and 1 Decode for the links. We can go into Electromite, and it doesn't happen too often, but just want to run 2 just in case, and it's just to help kind of either get us a piece of our Mythical Beast that we're missing to the extra deck, and it also serves as an excellent cherries target. Akashic, a lot of the stuff that we're running are spellcasters, so we can make Akashic just because they're the same type. Not because they're spellcasters, but because they are all the same type, I should mention. And of course, this is really good just for bouncing, like anything with an up link arrow. You can just, you know, if there's a decode on the other side of the field, you just summon Akashic into that zone, bounce it, and then of course we have the decode just to go after Akashic has done her thing. Onto some XCs. We got Hierophant of Prophecy. We're playing Spellbooks. We can make this with Astrograph, why not? Just play a couple rank 7s just because. Big Eye, Mechaphant Beast, Dracosac, we can make them, and just in case they come up. One Hope Harbinger, just because we do have our Master Cerberus at level 8, so I'm running 1 Supreme King Starving Venom. This is able to copy the Electromite effect. It probably won't come up too often in that sense, but we're able to make Hope Harbinger. So kind of onto the cherries targets side of things now. Got like a Borreload, Firewall, and still Spiral Double Helix, just because, you know, there still are some Spiral players at my locals, and I just want to make sure that the deck is fully dead. I mean, you know, they are dead, but again, just some ammunition against them. Psyframe Lord Omega, because a lot of decks play that, ABC, and Dante. So that kind of covers a broad spectrum of what we expect to see. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So that's it for my Spellbook Mythical Beasts. I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know what you think I could do to make this deck better. Again, like I said, this is just kind of what I've tested around to get the playstyle that I do enjoy out of the deck. This is probably like one of my favorite decks that I've made recently. Like, I mean, I love World Chalice, I love Pendulum Magicians, but just now, Mythical Beasts, these are my new thing, you know? Really enjoy them, and really enjoy the deck, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good one.